My name is Fatah. My name is Popoola. I'm a pharmacist. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to once again share my knowledge with you. The topic we want to discuss today, or it's more like a revision on allergies and hay fever. But the key focus will be on hay fever because this is the season of hay fever. And during the discussion, we just, kind of familiarize ourselves with the symptoms of each problem and how we can manage it. Obviously, there is no cure for hay fever, but how you can manage it. So, I don't know if anyone was here for the last discussion on allergy. I know definitely you were. But I don't know if anyone here was around when we discussed on allergy. Yeah. So basically, it's going to be just a few additions, but I will focus more on the hay fever because that's the problem most people have now. Allergy, like I said, it affects over 2.5 million people in the UK, and the symptoms, this allergy, like I said, is increasing in terms of occurrence. People are wondering what is allergy? And allergy basically is just an overreaction of the immune system. So if you get exposed to something that your body is not used to, the body reacts in a particular way. Now, how people react is different based on the person. So the way I react to something would definitely be different from, or might be the same, but it's not the case that it has to be in the same way. So for someone to develop allergy, then there has to be a pre-exposure to it. So for things like pollens, there's a lot of pollens in the air at the moment. So we're in the country, so every summer you inhale the pollen. Because some people, when we tell them they have hay fever, they said, I've never had it before. You understand? But the truth is, so long as you've been here, you're being exposed to it. And as time goes on, your immunity might get weakened, and then you start having a problem. You understand? So this just gives a diagram of what happens in the cells within the body. It has to do with the mast cells. If it gets once it's exposed to the allergen, it secretes what they call the Ig antibodies, and what that happens, it breaks down the mast cells and causes it to release the histamines, which now causes the reaction that we see, like swelling, redness of the skin. Because we're black, you may not notice that quickly, but for people that are white, you just see that redness very quickly, and then you start swelling. So that's how you know someone has got an allergic reaction, and that's a diagram of how it would look like. But this is more common for things like contacts. This is more like a contact allergy. Okay, so maybe you spray bleach or something, and if it goes on your hand, this is the kind of reaction it will give, and that's what just generally happens in the body. Now, they said there are two main phases of allergic reaction. There's the early phase. The early phase is just when you get exposed, and then because of the release of the histamines, then you get a slight reaction. So maybe the person starts sneezing, or they start having runny nose immediately. But after some time, they just feel okay. That's just a simple example. Okay, and some people, though they start having that, but they start feeling faint after some time, and then all of a sudden they could just faint. that's more like a allergic reaction. That's a more severe one. Understand? So that happens in the later phase. So that's why for instance, when we give flu vaccination, some people react to it. So we always ask them the question beforehand to make sure they're not allergic to anything that we're injecting them. So, but after injection, we always tell them to wait around for like 15 minutes. It's just to make sure that there's no reaction. If I want to say, okay, you can go. I'm sure for those who have had flu jab, they would have observed that when they get it. So this is just more like a phase of reaction. Okay. Now, this is just what happens in the body when there's a reaction. There's a release of histamine, and then there are different receptors there. So H1, H2, H3, H4. So all those receptors, once there's a release of histamine, they cause the reaction. So all the swelling of the skin, some people get like stomach pain due to gastric acid being produced too much, or there's bronchus constriction, they don't breathe properly. They have like shortness of breath, you understand? So those are kind of things that happen when you get exposed to allergy. So the other chemicals that are important is the prostaglandin and the leukotrienes. So those are also chemicals released in the body when you're exposed to any allergen. So allergen in a nutshell is just anything your body reacts to. Okay? Now, I mentioned earlier about anaphylactic reaction. So things like some people when they eat egg or they eat shellfish or anything fish or peanuts is the most common. Once they eat anything, it doesn't matter how minute it is, once it enters their mouth, their trunk will start swelling, and all of a sudden their breathing start increasing, they feel faint and they could faint. And that's what they call an anaphylactic reaction. So for such people, they always carry what they call an EpiPen. It's just adrenaline. So they use that when they have that kind of problem so that they don't faint or their body goes into anaphylactic reaction. So they just use that to jab themselves, and with that injection, it will just bring them back to life, basically. So they've already trained them on how to do that. Okay, but those are people that have, bad reactions to things, and they know. Most people will know. You understand? And the thing with anaphylactic reaction is, each time you get exposed to what you are allergic to, your symptoms become worse each time. So initially, it might be that you're just getting swelling tongue. The next time might be that you have swelling tongue and your lungs and your breathing begins to get worse. You understand? And again, so that's why once you notice that something your body is not used to it, the best thing is just stay away from it. That's the best thing to do. Okay? And it says symptoms vary and can occur within minutes of contact with the allergy. But the best way is to stay away from whatever is causing the problem. Okay. Now the key symptoms with allergic and anaphylactic reaction, that's the one that could result to people even fainting, or some people can die in the process. You understand? So key symptoms are like itchiness, swelling of the tongues and limbs. They have flushing, so you see them sweating very badly, and then they start breathing very heavily. They start bending down and in cramps. You understand? So we know that. So like if we give an injection and we notice somebody's like that, we already have the injection to give them, so that And once we give them that injection, we call the ambulance to come in. You understand? Because what happens is, even though we give them that injection their system might just get immune to it, and then they start having the problem again. So that's why if somebody has that reaction, the best thing is to call an ambulance even if after they've jabbed themselves with the injection, they should call an ambulance. Okay. And other things that we can use to treat allergic reaction, we use things like antihistamine tablets. So you get things like Piriton, cetirizine, Zyrtec. You see them in the pharmacies when you go there. And the EpiPen, what I said, is the injections they give themselves when they have that bad reaction. And usually when you've been taken to A&E, they give them what they call steroids. That's usually injected to them to reverse their reaction. Understand? Okay. So does anyone have any question on anaphylactic reaction, or do you know anyone that's experienced something like that? Maybe at school or at work? Maybe met any that they have, like, it's not fit. You know, fit is something different. But someone that is breathing heavily, maybe they ate something they shouldn't eat, and then you start seeing them reacting. I don't know if anyone has experienced anything like that.
Something like I'm eating chicken as I feel something with chicken. Yeah. So I vomit.
Yeah, it could result to that. So the key thing is you know that you're going to avoid eating chicken.
Because of our always.
I know that won't be easy in this country, but everywhere you go is chicken.
So what?
At the moment, during the summer period in the UK, I mean, a common problem is the hay fever. Okay, it is not. I know when we say fever, people attribute it to headache, like malaria fever, but this one is completely. They just call it hay fever because of hay. Hay is like how would I put, like dust, you know, something like that. So they just tell me to be a kind of fever. So they just gave it the name hay fever, but it's a type of reaction. Okay, so I don't know. My thinking, this is more common in London because I mean back home in Nigeria, there's flowers and everything, but you don't get people having this kind of constant problem of sneezing and having running nose. You understand? Unless if the person's, some people, they are very their immunity is low, so they do react if they are cutting grass or things like that. But like in this country, you just notice that once it's summer, like when it's hot, you start having your nose is dry, begin to get itching. So I think it has to do with the pollution, with the pollens in the air. I think those are the key things, but it's more common in London. But some,
everywhere you have all these trees that there's no fruit.
No, exactly.
They are there. So they just cause problem. I know a lady who came from Austria. I've never known her to have any form of allergy before she moved, relocated to London. Maybe a year or 2 years later, when she came back to Vienna, around this time, springtime like this, she complained she was having hay fever, things like that. I said, what is hay fever? I said, I don't know until I got to London.
London,
This is true.
Yeah, so it's quite common here, and obviously, like I said, there is no cure for it. People come to the pharmacy and they want something to stop the hay fever. There is nothing. We only give them things to relieve the symptom. If you go to the doctor will do the same thing. They only give you something to relieve the symptom. Okay? So the condition is triggered by different types of pollens. Okay? So pollens from grass, from trees, from weeds, from spores. So what I'm always personally mindful is, obviously during this period, there's gardeners cutting grass. So if you are near that kind of area, the best thing is, if the windows are open, close them. You understand? Or if you're driving, just wind up or switch on the AC and block the air from coming in, because those are things that can make you more prone to have the hay fever. You understand? Because once you inhale it, you would feel it yourself. You understand? And you might not react immediately, but as the years go on, your immunity will be reduced and you start having the problem. Okay? Some individuals have symptoms all year round, unfortunately. So people that have that problem, they know. Usually their nose are usually blocked all year round. You understand? Or their nose run is blocked. So for them, the doctors give them like nasal spray to help. You understand? But I'll discuss about the management towards the end. Okay. So the key symptoms for hay fever, and what I always use, because people come now, they tell me I've got a cold, obviously, if you're sneezing too much, if your nose is running, you're dragging your nose every second, it will make you have headache. And that sometimes can result to you having a temperature. So people kind of confuse it with cold and flu, you understand? But key symptoms I've tried to establish is, are they sneezing? If they tell me that they are sneezing, automatically they've got a hay fever, or I'll just call it allergy, so that I wouldn't make them, be defensive about not having a fever. And if their nose is blocked or their nose is itchy, those are part of the symptoms. And some people experience their eyes watering, and then you feel that your eyes are itchy. You understand? So what I always advise people is, when the weather is very hot, try and wear glasses, like sunshade. That will just prevent the pollens from going into your eyes. You understand? Because if it's very hot and you don't wear anything, once the breeze is blowing, the pollens will go into your eye, and that way you start scratching, and that's how you start having the eye problems of hay fever. So you start experiencing things like watery eyes, and that will result to like eye infections like conjunctivitis. So what I advise people is, if it's very hot and it's sunny, try and wear glasses. So that will just act as a defense from the things going into your eye. But for you that wear glasses already, you have that advantage, But obviously, it's just something to do to prevent us from having that problem. Okay. With regards to those, obviously you have to. There's no way you can do it. You have to breathe. So, but some people you notice they wear face masks during the summer period. That's the best way to do it. If you know that you're very prone to the allergies, then the best thing is wear face masks. And a lot of people, some people do that now, who are obviously being aware of that. Okay. So like I said, the aim of the treatment really is to reduce the symptoms. There is no cure. So what we use to treat it is oral antihistamines. So things like Piriton, Zyrtec, or they call cetirizine. The generics are cheaper to buy, but usually if you go to the doctor will give you generics anyway. So things like cetirizine, loratadine, and chlorpheniramine. Then for the nasal symptoms, they always have what they call a corticosteroid. It's a steroid nasal spray. So people use that every day to prevent the problem. But the thing with that is it causes dryness of the nasal passage. So that even to me makes that problem worse. It might give them immediate relief when they use it, but as time goes on, the problem is still there. So they do what they call saline spray now. It's just salt water. You understand? It's natural. So that's what I encourage people to use now. Like if they have that problem, they can use this steroid initially just to open up the nasal passage, but they should be using the sterile saline. They call it seawater, or either seawater or saline spray. So you just spray that in. So what that does is it moistens your nasal passage. So that way it won't cure the problem, but at least you still feel better. You understand? And it's safer than using the steroid one regularly. You understand? I think now the doctors can prescribe that. I think I wrote it down. So yeah, I wrote down saline or seawater nasal spray. That is it's a natural method, and it's safe to use every day. You understand? You can use it as many times as you want, because it's just seawater. You understand? And at least you get relief when you use that. Okay. Another thing people use is decongestant. So things like the Ultravane nasal spray or Sudafed nasal spray. So what that does is it just opens up your nasal passage. You understand? But with that one, you can't use it every day. You only use it for 5 days and you stop. You understand? So for a lot of people, one of their key problems is the nasal problem. That's usually, for most people that have hay fever, their problem is the nose, because they are just running and they are sneezing, or it could be blocked, or it's itching them. So we give them tablets and a nasal spray. Okay, but I always encourage them to use the saline one for long term. And there's a new, sorry.
So, is it the same saline that they use for treatments? Is it the same thing?
It's the same.
Saline is saline.
Saline is saline.
Okay.
So if you didn't want to buy that one, you can, if you can sniff, yeah, if you can sniff it, well, because it's something to irrigate your nose, your nasal passage. Well, they do like a nasal, they call it sinus rinse, which you can use to as a douche to wash. You wash the nostril. So during this period, what you do is you wash the nostril. So what it does is it just remove all the pollens in your passage. So some people do that every day in the morning and night. They just rinse it. So it gives them relief when they do that. You understand? So, but if you've got saline liquid, you can equally use that. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah, I personally do that myself. Because especially when it's very hot and I know that I'm having that problem, I can just sniff the water. It's just something to keep it, because it's always very dry when it's very hot, very hot. Understand? So
I think if you perform ablution regularly, you won't have that problem.
well, you shouldn't. There's a new product, I mean, it's not new anyway, there's a product called Prevaline, which is also natural, and even pregnant women can use it. Okay, they use they call it a nasal technology. So it's a combination of oil and emulsifier. It's got like an oil in there, which you spray into your nose. And what that does is, you know, that diagram for the allergen.
Yeah.
It kind of forms. This one. So you know this mast cell. So if you spray the oil combination with that, what it does is it will protect this mast cell so that it doesn't break out. Because when this thing breaks out, that's when you start having that sneezing and running nose. So that's the whole idea behind that spray. So once you spray it in onto your nose, the mast cell in your nasal passage, it will just protect it so that it doesn't break down. So at least it relieves your symptoms, basically.
What if someone puts a little bit of salt in the water and
That's an Ijebu. The truth of the matter is, one, the water we get from the tap is not pure. To start with, in this country, to start with, it's not pure. It has other impurities in there. There's chlorine and some other things. Then secondly, the salts you put, because these salts that your body, because the water you put in your nose ideally should be compatible with your body system, basically. It should be 0.9%, which you cannot measure accurately. So that's why I said the nasal, they call it nasal normal saline, basically. That normal saline for treatment of wound, you can also use it in that way. But if you put salt in water, you can't get that concentration accurately. So I wouldn't advise that, because some people that have that nasal problem, their nose is usually sore on the inside. So if some people have bleeding when they sneeze very hard. So if you now put something like that in your nose, it could result in infection. So you don't want to, that's why I wouldn't advise just that kind of doing that yourself. If you understand? So you might be doing yourself more harm than good. You understand? So that's the problem with that. So obviously with such nasal sprays, it's a bit expensive.
The hay fever or these allergic reactions, does it have anything to do with what do you call it when you use spray? All this
inhaler.
Inhaler.
No, that's asthma.
Related or something else?
Asthma. To be honest, they are different to start with, but they go hand in hand. You understand? Most people that are asthmatic, they have that hay fever problem. Most of them have a hay fever, and then most of them also have what they call atopic eczema, that's skin condition. Usually, so three of them are kind of connected. You understand? So most of them will have to treat the three, to be honest. For most of them, it's only the lucky ones who know how to manage it that will get away with just the asthma. You understand? But they're usually connected in a way.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because personally I was thinking it could be connected.
I mean, like I said, there are three different things, but most people that have one tend to have most people that are asthmatic tend to have allergy problem. So let's just put it that way. You understand? Because even from the way they are asthma is more like their lungs are not functioning properly. You understand? So when they get exposed to allergy, that's when they start having the asthma attack. You understand? So it's kind of related, but it's different. Okay. You have any question? No. Okay. So the eye drops.
Ask. If you have any question, you
I
raise
have
up.
a question.
Okay. So for some people, they have the eye problem. Like I said, when you start scratching your eye, a lot of the times you notice that when it's very hot, you understand, you start having eye problems, and then you now use the eye drops.
What about wax in your eyes?
Wax, like crest, yeah. So if the eyes, because usually with hay fever, once you start scratching your eyes, obviously if you do that too much, your eyes become very red, and your eyes will be watering, and that could result in infection, which you now have the wax in the corner.
Okay.
You understand?
That comes out, that comes out because of infection.
Yes. So once you start having yellow discharge in the corner, it's become infected. Okay? You understand? So once it's become coming out not regularly, but you notice that every now and then you have to wipe out that yellow thing, then you know you have eye infection. So if you go to the pharmacy, they can sell you eye drops for the infection. But if your eyes is just watering, there's no discharge in the corner, then that is just allergy. They call it allergic conjunctivitis. That's what they call it. So that's when we give things like sodium chronomagicate eye drops or other eye drops just to suit your eyes. Okay. So, but like I said, to prevent eye problem, the best is when the weather is like this, just wear glasses or sunglasses to prevent too much pollen from getting to your eye.
This is interesting to me because I've always wondered why that thing comes out. Yeah. You know, the usual thing is we just wipe it off and we forget about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's why obviously when you start scratching your eye, I always encourage people they should not scratch. But the moment they start scratching, then it makes the problem even worse. You know.
number one.
Yeah. So even for obviously with kids, they can't control it. They have to scratch their eyes. So you know, but I would just encourage them not to, so that it doesn't result to an infection. You understand? So, like I said, the best way to manage hay fever is to avoid the exposure to the pollens, and steps that could be taken to minimize is one. You notice now during the summer, apart from giving the weather reports, they also give what they call pollen forecast.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something you can look out for. So if you're a hay fever sufferer, or if you do get like allergies, like sneezing and stuff like that, it's always good to have an idea of how the pollen counts will be for the day. So at least so you can prepare yourself. So some people, it's very bad. Once they know that it's going to be high during the day, either if they haven't got anything important to do outside, then they just stay indoor. You understand? Or they can use the tablets, even if they're not having any problem that at that time, they can use the tablets before going out. And then if they have the nasal spray, they can use that before going out. But like the steroid nasal spray, it's always good to use it before you start having the problem. You understand? So that's why the pollen forecast is important now. And so you notice during the summer, if you're watching the weather forecast, they always give information about the pollen forecast. Okay.
What does pollen look like?
Pollen is something you can't see, but do you know what pollens are? You know the flower? Yeah. So usually when a flower opens up, it releases, they call it the pollination. Yeah. So that thing it releases, it's like it's just like how human being reproduce, but it's the plant's way. So that pollen, once it goes round, it settles somewhere, and then it will now grow as another flower. So but because we can't, some of the pollens are very small that you can't see. So once you inhale it, then you start having the funny sneezing problem and all that. But you will notice it like when, like some of them, like the trees, when it's windy, you notice the white things in the atmosphere. That's what it's called pollens. So if you see things like that, just try and avoid contact with things like that. And some people just jump at it, but with time, as time goes on, you begin to get the allergic reaction. Okay. So, like I said, the best thing is keep the doors and windows closed when the pollens are high. So usually pollens are high in the early morning and in evening to late night. Okay. So like when the sun is setting. So I always encourage people open up because it's hot. We understand, but if you have allergic problem, the best thing is to keep it shut. Obviously, like in the afternoon when it's very hot, the pollen is not high then, so you can open the window at that time. But when it's getting to night, when the temperature is dropping, then the pollens are more settled. You understand? That's the science behind it. So if it's very hot, the pollens are kind of lighter. They are lighter and it floats higher. So obviously there's not much that will come into the. But if it's not that hot, then it settles down. Then that's when you have the problem. Okay. So like I said, it's highest in early morning and in the evening. But like today, for instance, when it rained, most people that have hay fever, they will notice that they're not having the problem because of the rain. The rain kind of washes the pollens away. You understand? So, and like I mentioned earlier, if you can wear glasses or you wear face masks if you're going to mow the grass. So wherever they're cutting grass, or just try and avoid that area. Okay? And they also encourage that you take showers. If you go out and you come back, you take showers during that period to wash off any pollens that might have settled on your skin. Especially if you go, some people go to the park and you spend the whole day in the park. So the best is when you get back indoors, just have a shower, just to wash off any pollens that might have settled on your clothes or yourself. There's something new for people that their hay fever is very, very bad. They use what they call Granzac. It's something that they just expose that person to the pollens gradually, just for their body to develop immunity. You understand? So that's the science behind that. So for people that they have very bad hay fever, what they do is prior to the season, they will expose them to this kind of product, and then so that when the season comes on, they won't have the allergy won't be bad. Their immunity will be strong enough. You understand? So, but as you can see, you can see that a lot of the allergic symptoms and hay fever has an important role is the immunity of your personal immunity. So I always encourage people to take things that would make their immunity to be high. You understand? So things like vitamin C, zinc, it's always good to take things like that. Okay.
Vitamin C in the form of tablet or?
Yeah, I think the natural one is the best. Okay.
From which sources do we
get? Yeah, orange juice. Orange, usually orange. Not the orange juice in the can. That one is more sugar, to be honest. But I mean natural orange juice. You understand? Yeah. So I don't know if anyone have heard of Neutralite. They do natural products,
Okay.
which are extracted direct from plant concentrates, and they are usually the neutralites. Okay. So what happens is once the ingredients are extracted from the plants, because once the plants are harvested, within 6 hours they have to extract the ingredients and they use what they call a phytolock technology to lock the ingredients. So basically what you'll be taking is all natural, you understand? So these products by Neutralite, okay? So if anyone is interested in those kind of products, you can contact me and I can help you get it. All the products are natural, so anything you take is 100% natural. And your body, you're sure that what you're taking is going to work for you. You understand?
Maybe I should suggest if you have the time to get us the list of those products.
Okay.
Yeah, and the prices.
Okay.
That would be better.
Okay, no problem.
We'll announce it or put it on the website.
Okay. Okay. Maybe when next time I'll bring the booklet. Okay. I'll show it to you. But obviously, apart from the vitamin C, they do things like because obviously we're advised to eat 5 or 6 fruits a day. Or is it 7 fruits a day now?
Yeah,
7 a day now. Well, to even start with, do we even eat the 5 before they really give it to someone? Then apart from that, if you look at the fruits we eat now, does anyone know how long ago it was harvested? You understand? So we eat apple, banana from here. They probably harvested it like 2, 3 or 2 months ago, and then put chemicals to preserve it till now. You understand? So there's that danger that even what we are eating is probably not hasn't got much nutrients in there. But you yourself can tell when you eat banana from back home, you know that it's fresh. You understand? Or if you drink orange from back home, you know it's fresh. Yeah, exactly. So I think even one of the products which is being done by the Neutralite, most of those plant products up to 23 is put in a tablet form, which you can take, and it supplies all what you need. You understand, which you can supplement with your food which you eat.
It doesn't have any
side effects or anything. So, but like I said, I'll give you all the information. So to summarize what we've discussed, this period, the summer period, one of the key problems people encounter, apart from exhaustion, because obviously people will be sweating a lot, and we encourage people to drink a lot of water. If you're going in the tube, I advise you to take your water along. You understand? But apart from that, a lot of people experience sneezing.
no toilet in the You can drink no toilet.
Yeah, so you know, obviously during the summer, one of the key problems is hay fever, especially in London. You understand? And obviously I've covered the symptoms, and the key symptoms is just sneezing, running nose. If itchy eyes, your nose might be itchy, and maybe your nose might be blocked. You understand? So, and I've mentioned that in terms of management, the best way to prevent having a problem is reduce exposure to the pollen. So if you're indoors, try and close the windows. And if you're driving, try and wind up the windows as much as you can. Okay? Now, does anyone have any questions? Or any contributions?
You know what? Sometimes I feel some scratch on top of my
Go.
just scratching.
Is it after you've eaten a particular thing, or
No,
just
coming.
okay? When you brush, do you have any bleeding or anything like that?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. If that is happening, then that means your gum is there's a slight infection, and then you can there's a mouthwash you can buy, which you use twice a day.
What I need, I can be feeling it in my ear.
Itching.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. For some people it happens like that. It's just maybe it's just the way things are initially, but especially during the summer, that is quite common. People start having itchy ear up to the nose, up to your throat. Even your throat will be very itchy during this period, and it's because of the pollens. You understand? So even just to add to it, some people have what they call itchy throat, which makes them cough a lot. So, but I do get people coming in and they tell me, oh, I have cough, and that my throat is very dry and I'm coughing. I still attribute that to allergy. So what I always do is I give them a cough syrup plus an antihistamine, because it works better that way. You understand? They might not have the full-blown sneezing and running nose, but I know that because they are itching, I always ask them, do they leave the windows open? And more than half will say yes. And then I encourage them to close the windows. You understand? Then I can say, okay, take the antihistamine tablets alongside. You understand? So no, that's one and that's beginning to get more and more common now. So they just need to buy something to soothe the throat. So things like lockets, lemon and honey. You can do your own natural one at home. So.
Lemon and honey.
Yeah.
So the electrolyte, does it come in form of tablets or
there is
drink
tablet.
or something? I think
There is tablets. There is chewable tablets for the children.
For the children. And drinks as well.
They have what they call drinks. They got like, it depends on what you want. They've got drinks also. Like they've got H2, something to encourage you to drink water, which you just dissolve in the.
Okay, the dissolvable one.
Yeah. So, but I'll give him the brochure. You can have a look at it. If it's something you want, you can look at it. All those things are just good things to help improve your health. It's more of preventative medicine as opposed to waiting for something to happen before you take anything. I mean, if you're taking medications like that, the chances of you falling sick in a year would reduce drastically. Yes. Because I know quite a few of my colleagues who are already taking that. And they'd say even with their kids, they really will fall off sick for, like kids who always have cold and flu and all that. They say their kids don't get it. Because obviously they're taking things to improve their immunity and that way.
Is it the Neutralite that you're talking about?
Yeah, the Neutralite one. And there is a comparison where, because what happens is all these synthetic, I know I sell them in the pharmacy, but this is based on people's choice. But if they ask me my own opinion, I will tell them, which is, you understand. So, but the synthetic ones, because most of the things in there are all manufactured, they're not natural. Things like Centrum, even when you see the tablet, it's blue in color. There's a lot of E factors, so many E things that even as Muslims we shouldn't be taking. You understand? So, but with something like that, the Neutralite one is all natural, all from plants, and everything is written there clearly. You understand? So, does anyone have any? Any questions? Well, I mean, I don't know. Did it look like I was repeating what I said?
No.
Last 2 months?
No, not at all.
Huh? Compared, because I know I gave the same talk 2 months ago.
It's like we've not
No,
had
but
it
this
before.
one is different. Because that time I think we talked about
On the allergy.
asthma.
I did
Focus on asthma,
yeah.
but not
Okay.
antihistamine one.
Allergy, yeah. That's my focus today, to focus on allergy. Because obviously if you understand it more now, even when people are around, you notice it now when people start complaining, and then you can confidently tell them this is what you should do, and
That's why you should tell people. Because a colleague of mine have hay fever, and every time, I finished using this bottle, I have to. I said, it doesn't do. It's not that it doesn't do anything, but it's just. It's just for you to manage something,
Yes,
not that it's going to go away.
It's not going to go away. That's what I always, the first thing, especially our people, I tell
Taking
them,
medication
I tell them,
medication
no.
doesn't.
They will call for things like Benelin for flu and all that. To be honest, they don't need it because they're taking medication that they don't need, and that can even cause them more problem later in life than.
Yes.
And antihistamines are relatively safe. If you just take one, you can take one a day for as long as you want, really. Because what antihistamine is just the opposite of the histamine, which your body produces naturally. So, though there are side effects with antihistamine, but it's not marked. It's not a major. It's not a problem.
So, I know something I know because I'm very different now. If I pain of the joints, which shall I use? Like before I'm okay, alright. Now I start with the pain in joints.
There are various factors that can cause that. Obviously, obviously having body pains is one of the symptoms of colds. But if it's like within a particular joint, then you can take painkillers. If it doesn't go, then the best thing is to see your GP. So basically what they will do is maybe refer you to the hospital to have an x-ray and see why you're getting the problem. So I think that's the best way around it. Okay? There are pain killers and pain gels you can apply that can help resolve the pain. Okay?
Any vitamins don't help or?
For my knowledge, there are things like glucosamine or chondroitin. Those are natural things you can take that can help rebuild the joints, or things like joint ace. That helps with your joints to give you all the vitamins required for your joints. But sometimes due to age, you might begin to experience wear and tear in that area. Okay.
Because why I was like this, because myself, when I'm working in the in the butchers, I'm okay, alright. Now about 6-7 weeks I finish. Start pain in my whole body and all the joints.
Yeah, I can understand. But sometimes because you're not used to your routine things, your mind, when you are busy, your mind is not focused on.
Because before is, I do loading, unloading, pick up bucks in the morning. You see, sometimes I do unloading, 30-40 bucks, bring them out, loading, then loading, unloading. I'm okay, I feel fixed now. Well, 6-7 weeks now, no working. I got pain in all my joints.
I think because your mind is more kind of realizing what is around more. If you were busy, you probably wouldn't even notice it, to be honest. So, but I think if it's disturbing, the best is to see a doctor so that you can check.
Yeah, actually, doctor, I won't say doctor must give me painkiller. Actually, I told you true. I'm very scared to take medicine like this.
Yeah.
I tried, use back home things, different way. But I try to don't take much medicine.
That is it, yeah. The best thing is go back to your doctor, speak to him that you've taken the painkiller but it's not working, because they have to send you to hospital to check why you're getting the problem. You taking painkillers it just takes care of the pain there and then, but the problem is still there. Okay?
Anyway, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
See you. No.
Okay. The next one is flu, which is obviously the third topic. Like I said, flu is happens very quick. That's why they say it's an acute respiratory illness. So it happens very quick. So the symptoms you get is quite similar to cold, but then you get it kind of very quickly. Okay, and this is caused by 3 different types of virus. You have the A, B, and C, where A is the most frequent and most severe. That is the influenza, because that's what they call influenza. That it causes it kind of spreads very quickly. So you notice quite a lot of people just all of a sudden they're coughing, sneezing, they're going to toilets. It's causing them running stomach, and they are ill. They are having high temperature. They can't even stand up. So it could be severe. So, it could even lead to people being hospitalized, or even some people could die as a result of, them having the flu. But that's more common with high-risk group. So high-risk group are people that have severe heart problem, they have liver problems or they have immunosuppression, like maybe they have HIV or even the elderly people, because their immunity is not, it's not ideal, or people that are very young. Okay. So we tend to get the flu during the winter season, and okay. Now,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm going to now leave my clothes now.
Okay.
See you, inshallah.
All right, inshallah. Have a nice day. Now, for the flu, the common symptoms are...
Thank you very much.
Sure. The common symptoms are like you having like high fever, so your body will be very hot. When you take the temperature, it will be more than 37. You get like coughing, headache, body pains. You might be getting blocked nose. You feel just unwell. You do not yourself. You don't want to stand up from your bed. You start having runny nose. That is flu. If you get it straight away within 1 or 2 days, okay. And that symptoms you could have it for up to 5 days. If you have that, you feel just unwell, and that feeling of unwellness could last for up to 3 weeks. Okay. Now, in terms of treatment, because I said it's similar to cold, but the only difference is you get it all straight away, right? Now, because you feel unwell, some people, because of that, they're not drinking enough water, they can't eat. If they eat, they vomit. Because of how much they're coughing, they vomit. So that makes them dehydrated. That is what causes them to now, be hospitalized, basically. And all they do in the hospital is just to hydrate them. If their immunity is very low, then the doctor might prescribe things like antiviral, which combats the virus that causes that flu. Okay. Other than that, they'll give them painkillers to help with the body pains and fever. And if they have blocked nose, they can give them the decongestant tablets to take. Okay. But to prevent flu, they advise people to get the flu jab, because
before you have the flu.
Yeah. With cold, there is no jab for cold. But for flu, which is the more just look at flu as a more severe form of cold. So that they encourage you to get flu jab. So if you know anyone that is hypertensive, anyone over 65, anyone that is hypertensive, has any thyroid problem, liver problem, heart problem, or they have diabetes, encourage them to go and get the flu jab. So that would build their immunity, so that if there's an outbreak of flu, which is quite common, they don't get it. Or if they do get it, it won't be too serious. They can treat it easily, or it won't kill them easily. Okay? So like I said, if they don't get it, most people say, oh, when I get the flu jab, it makes me feel sick. That's how it works, because it kind of stimulates your immune system. You feel a bit sick for a few days, and afterwards, you'll be okay. It doesn't mean you cannot get cold, but then if there's a flu outbreak, you wouldn't get it. And that has to be done every year. You get a flu jab every year. And the reason why they get flu jab every year is because the virus that causes the flu is always changing. It changes its shape, and so they have to develop another form of vaccine every year. Okay? So with that, I've kind of touched based on cough, cold, and flu. Okay? I hope it's kind of broadened your knowledge on what it's all about. I don't know if anyone has any questions or any contributions, or if there's any traditional way you want to share. You're welcome.
The traditional way, I think we heard about a leaf called moringa.
Okay.
And from the information I've had, it's recognized by the NHA, World Health Organization, yeah, WHO. So it contains vitamin C, more than what you can get from any citrus fruit, citrus fruits. So I don't know if you have whether you heard about it or not.
I think
very first day I took it, I felt, I don't know, hyper-active somehow.
Okay.
You know, I was just laughing throughout that day.
Okay.
The next day, I felt sick.
Okay.
So, and I noticed my physics was dark.
Okay.
So it was after that that I read it works as what do you call it? This hijama, you know, cupping. You know, when you do cupping, you are bringing out dirty blood.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like a detoxing.
Exactly. That's the word.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, but those ones contain, apart from vitamin C, contain other things which also can claim it cleanse the liver and kind of makes you feel like that. Really. But with all this, in terms of modern medicine, there's no evidence. So with something like that, unless I read the pack or anything about it, I can't really, you know.
There are capsules now. I think there's one called. Oh, that's something like Senna cut. That's Senna leaf. That's something else.
But I mean, taking it forward, I would just encourage everyone to, obviously, to prevent you from getting cold and flu. Just the precautions that I made mention of earlier. So things like coughing in public, covering the mouth, washing your hands immediately, coming in contact with someone that's had it. That would reduce you from getting it. And during the winter months, try and take things with vitamin C to boost your immunity.
Okay. And at what point do you would you encourage people to go to see the GP or go to their pharmacist?
If you're coughing so much that obviously you're getting pains, you're having breathing difficulty, or if you check the phlegm of your cough, if it's colored, those are the best times to go to the doctor. Then they might give you something in addition to the normal cough syrup and paracetamol, maybe antibiotics. But if your phlegm is not colored, they probably won't give you anything. They just tell you to take painkillers.
Okay. Can you then go to the GP first, or you should try?
It's always best to go to the
pharmacist.
Yeah, it's best to go to them because what they will do is, if they feel it's more severe, then they will advise you to go to the doctor. But if you go to the doctor will tell you, you know, if you go there, they look at you and they see that you haven't got an infection, they will just tell you to go. And then maybe 2 or 3 days after, it now might become serious. And before you now book an appointment, it takes ages, you know, and by then, you know. So it's always best to always check with pharmacists. They will be the one to say, okay, you know what, I think it's time you go to the doctor.
Yeah, one day I got a sore throat, so heavy. I went to Nigeria, I have a big sore throat. I can't, my voice was very low, I can't talk. I took some tablets in Nigeria and it didn't work.
And that would be antibiotics. That's what probably what they gave you. Because what happens is if you have sore throat, it's a sign of infection, sore throat. So you might take things to, apart from sweetings, most of the things like strepsils, which you see in the market, they've got antibacterials in there that help relieve that. But if that doesn't work, then you have to go to the doctor. And doctors usually, if they check your throat, they will need to tell you, yes, you've got an infection, and they give you antibiotics. So most likely that's probably what you took when you went there.
Yeah, when I get back to London, I see my GP and they give me antibiotic.
Yeah.
Between 2 days gone.
Yeah, that's it. So he will look at it, he will know the best antibiotic to give you. And you know, that's why it works.
My question is, I recently came from Nigeria to the UK, and when we have fever, this or that, every time, everybody's saying malaria. But when I came to the UK, when you're sick, you have the virus. How do you differentiate, or why is it that in Nigeria, every small thing is malaria, everybody's talking about malaria, and in the UK, you just come and say, when is it not malaria in Nigeria? And when is it just ordinary cold or flu? Before malaria comes in?
Yeah, I think because malaria is very common in Nigeria. That's why, obviously the symptoms are similar. That's why now I think, I haven't practiced in Nigeria it's more than 12 years, but I think now, before they give you medicine for malaria, I think they have to do blood tests now, if I'm not mistaken. Because ideally, before, even here, that's why if you come here, they won't, though I can tell it's malaria, they won't treat you straight away, they'll do blood tests, make sure they'll find out the type of parasite that is causing your malaria before they now give you treatment. So I would say within Nigeria, it's difficult because you are prone to so many infections over there. But the thing is, because any infection, you always have fever. And fever is just headache, body temperature, and sometimes shivering. That's common with cold, that's common with malaria, that's common with typhoid. So you get to the diagnosis, the person who you speak to has to know more about it before they can tell you, oh, this is malaria, this is cold, or this is typhoid. But the most accurate way is to do blood tests to confirm.
And the malaria is something caused by mosquito.
Mosquito carries the parasite that causes malaria. So,
why is meningitis caused?
Meningitis is a virus. The thing is, if you come in contact with someone that's had it, or maybe an instrument, that has been used for someone that had it, it's a very severe infection. So that's why they always, if you're young, they always give you the vaccination to prevent you from getting it.
Did they want to give it to us in school?
Yeah. I would advise you to take it. I would advise you to take it because the thing is, you don't know where you've been 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
So if you take it in school now, it's going to protect you for over, I think it's about 10 years or something. So if, for instance, you want to go to Africa for adventure, if you get exposed to it, you won't get it. But if you've not had it at this young age and you go there, you wouldn't know, you would have forgotten about it. And if you get exposed, then the disease is very bad because it can make you disabled. So it's best to always have brain damage, spinal damage. So it's best to, I would advise any, especially all the vaccinations that encourage people to get. If you fall under the category, it's best to get it.
Adult can get it too?
Yeah, but I'm sure you would have had it when you were growing up.
What's the difference between sore throat and tonsillitis?
Sore throat, tonsillitis, sore throat basically is, we say it's sore throat because when you swallow it's painful. But tonsillitis is just a term for inflamed tonsils. So the tonsil is also in the throat. So, when they check it, they see that it's infected, then the doctor will just say you've got tonsillitis. But in a way, it's the same thing.
So tonsillitis is just like the medical sense.
Yeah.
Just like
But then I think if it's now infected, that's why they call it tonsillitis, because it's also inflamed, so it's swollen.
Okay, but the sore throat also, the tonsillitis is inflamed.
We call it sore throat, but they call it.
Okay.
How about if you get catarrh and blood came out?
If you get catarrh, because you're blowing your nose, there's some vessels there. So if you blow it too hard, you could get blood. So I would attribute it because you're traumatizing your nose. But if each time you blow, each time maybe the mucus come out, there's blood without you forcing it out, then I can say you have to see a doctor.
Does indigestion cause persistent coughing?
That's a good question. Yeah. It depends on what you tend to be indigestion. But sometimes when you eat so much and then you go to bed, you lie down, the thing wants to come out. Like the food will want to come out. Yeah. Some people, they have a weak, they call it finger muscle there, and then the food will want to come out. And because it wants to come out, it actually comes out like you want to vomit. That can trigger, because the food want to go into the lungs and then you start coughing. That's why some people cough. So that's why we encourage people not to eat heavy and then go to bed straight away.
But it goes to one side.
Yeah.
With the food.
Yeah, like I said, like I defined cough is a way of the lungs clearing whatever goes in there. So if maybe you are eating and you're talking at the same time, for instance, if the food goes into the lungs, you just cough it out automatically.
Especially when you're drinking water or something.
Yeah, or you drink it very quickly without taking note or something like that.
That's why people choke.
Yeah. Or people choking, they take something that kind of blocks the lungs.
Okay.
So that's why your body will want to kind of force it out. But okay.
Then what happens if you have sometimes you cough and the cough becomes uncontrollable, like you're coughing and instead of just stopping
lighter ones.
Like you just continue like
Lighter ones.
And like I said, there's always a trigger. So maybe at that point you may have not noticed, maybe the heating was on at that time, or there's dust in that area that's kind of gone in and you're trying to cough it out. There must be something that triggered it to be coughing.
But Mr. Dust might is inside.
Yeah, so usually those are the causes. Or maybe if you've got the flu, some people that have flu, like I mentioned, they have that persistent coughing.
This is like this. My question is actually when it's uncontrollable at that point, and like you just like cough and you start thinking that this cough you're supposed to like cough like maybe 4 times. And
it happens. Yeah, maybe there's something there that is just making you cough. So the best thing is when you have something like that, you just drink like water to help you just kind of soothe your throat.
Does soothers and lockets work?
They help. For me, that's my. That's what.
So you bet for.
How about the one packet?
No, it does. To be honest, it helps. I mean, for me, if I have a cough, what I do is I soak muffins, and if I'm going to bed, I put it in my mouth. That is dangerous, but I do that, and by the time I wake up next morning, it's gone. That's my own secret trick. I prefer that to even cough tinctures or anything because they only help to relieve the symptoms. Yeah, something that will suit the throat.
Does sometimes suit the throat?
Yeah,
Sure,
it's mental because of the mental.
Get me one.
So another pack now.
You wanted that one to take to school, that's why you asked me.
Yeah, because the mental, even your nose will be clear. Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I'm just surprised. I have to tell you that, for example, this lady that just left, she's the last person I will expect to attend anything like this.
Okay.
And she said, unfortunately, it's almost finished before I arrived. This is why I came. That's good. It's good to know that.
Of course. Yes. Hopefully, I think going forward, even for me, preparing this, it's something I do every day, but trying to put it together kind of took time. I didn't believe it would take that much time.
What is the name of the pharmacist?
Well, my name is Fatai.
No, the name of the pharmacist that you work in.
Pharmacy is street pharmacy.
That one there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Beside
the one.
buy your shoe.
Oh.
I've been there before.
Don't you know?
Yeah.
Meeting mommy. Meeting us in the shop.
Oh, I came here every day.
Mama.
They come out to shout.
Only me, Yoruba.
As a pharmacist.
As in the pharmacist.
Okay, okay. As a farmer. Okay.
I'm sometimes at the back. Okay. No problem.
Thank you.
No problem. if no question, Surah to Ikhlas. This is on
Thank you.